welcome to this continuing live coding series where we are creating a website from scratch with Python, Django, and the Wagtail CMS. I realized we haven't really been creating this website from scratch. We actually have a reference implementation, more or less over here, that was made in Drupal. But in any case, we are, and then also the fact that Django and Wagtail are already pretty robust, pretty well fully fledged frameworks. So in any case, I've been working recently on the store, on the bookstore here, where you can have multiple types of products, specifically books in our case. You can add one or more of those to the cart. I've got one in the cart already. I'll add another. And we have a checkout process where we're collecting some basic customer details before creating the order, at which point the payment processor will be handling the customer's credit card information. We're not going to work on the payment processor part today. I did a little bit of a review of the progress so far with Mary, and we found 3 issues that are relatively low-hanging fruit. One is this order address field. So here's our order class. It's not very useful. Let's see, when I go back to the checkout form, it's just got an address, a postal address that you kind of fill in. And that was on purpose. I didn't want to spend too much time sorting that out up front. I had a little bit of more higher priority issues to work out. But today we're going to look at dividing this postal address up into several fields, and we're going to use the schema.org sort of standard. I don't know to what extent this is standardized. I think it comes out of Google and a couple of search engines. And when you put your data in this structure, those search engines will really understand how to index it, and I believe a lot of other tools can use data in these structures also. So the fields we're going to be looking at are country, region, post office box, postal code, and street address. I'm going to kind of skip over locality. And these are United States addresses we're expecting to take orders from. So this region would be used for a state. We're going to allow the customer to type the name of the state. We're not going to do any drop-down menu. We agreed to keep it really simple. So let's get straight to it. I'm on my branch for continuing the checkout process. I'm going to do some work here that's not directly related to the checkout process. We'll have a couple more issues we'll do during this live stream today. I can do a quick view of those. We're going to put this, where's that, Wagtail menu. We're going to make sure that this little Wagtail menu is displayed on all of the pages. For example, when I'm on the shopping cart, the Wagtail menu is not there. There's a couple of other pages where they're more or less custom Django views, and the Wagtail menu doesn't appear unless we tell it to display there. And actually I could fix this bug as well. And a low-hanging fruit to just add a link from the cart back to the bookstore, even though it's up here, just another button that says something like add more books, so that people can very quickly navigate by moving forward back to the bookstore. And then I should actually check let me see here. This quantity field that it only allows positive integers. I'll have to look that up. Django form. So it looks like there's something like this min value validator that I can use. Great. So it looks like we're lined up. Let's go ahead and peel through a few of these issues. So based on a discussion with Mary, we started kind of brainstorming fields that we have commonly seen And they're very US-centric fields, like state, province. But we decided that in the data model, we will go with the schema.org fields. And when I review again with Mary, she'll give me the labels that should appear on the actual form. So the first thing we're going to do is remove this postal address field. There's a street address. So maybe I'll work my way. I think these are displayed alphabetically in the form, which is another issue. So these are just character fields. $255 should be pretty sufficient. The tricky part here is sometimes you'll have a street address and sometimes you'll have a post office box. So we'll have to check out validation. Okay. Go ahead and collapse this. I believe all of these will be the same type of field. I didn't want to sort of adopt an entire fully fledged e-commerce platform, even though it might already include, handling shipping and billing addresses. The billing address will be handled by the payment processor if needed. We just need to collect basically the shipping address. So we have street address, postal code. This should, they say text, so can just go with these. These car fields. I don't know how long to expect a postal code to be, but I think 10 digits. Let's go with this 16. Seems reasonable. All right, so we got postal code. These are all text fields. The region is used for the state. I'm just wondering if region and country would be sufficient there. I got a little bit of a typo there. All right, so region. These are arbitrary numbers. I mean, even 32 seems like it's really relatively reasonable. So we've got customer information, contact, which is required. I think all of these should be required, although it might ask me what the default value would be. So street address, actually street address and postal. P.O. box should be the only ones. Okay, just losing track of where I'm putting my columns and stuff. All right, postal code, post office box. Post office box number. All right, looking good. And then my auto formatting from black. P.O. box. Should be fine. All right, so now we need to run these or make these migrations. I think part of this comes from the fact that I've got data in the database. So in order to make this migration, I might have to drop this database. And I might have to flush the cache. Oh, no, it's right here. So the street address. Oh yeah, this is where I specified them, so street address. Postal code, P.O. box number, address region, address country. Those in the UI for the editing screen, and there should be a form I can override. Let's see if I can make this migration real quick. Post address specified for order. This could be yeah. Sometimes that pie cache gets pretty confusing, but just learn this. Sometimes I have to delete. All right, let me find out where this. We're also using postal field. It says I'm using postal address in my model still. So the problem is I've removed that from my model. So this wasn't the issue. This is probably the order and issue. Okay. Street address. Alright, so this order create form was still referring to that field. That could be the reason for those errors. There we go. Models have changed that are not reflected in the migration. Okay. Okay, there we go. So we've migrated. Let's hop back over here and we'll go to checkout process. Let me see all the fields. Okay. But it's working, so yeah, that's right, that's right. So we need, actually, we do have to add this. It's locality. Oh yeah, Mountain View is a city, of course, yeah. Alright. So I need to put a cart button there, but let's check out. Oh, I didn't save the form. There we go. All right, cool. So this is a first step. We're good to go. Maybe sometime I'll squash these migrations. Okay, next. So we're kind of close this one, 27. Okay, I needed to create a remote reference here. Refresh this page. No, that's not the right one. Make sure that we close these issues with the pull request. I wonder how they got of sync there. Yeah, we're good to go. So I hope my commit graph didn't get a little kink in that. In any case, let's continue. Should probably have done a rebase. Anyway, this should do a rebase. Strange. Okay, let's take a look at this next issue. This I'm going to defer to later. The Wagtail menu, this is a low-hanging fruit, but this is a really good example here of how responsive the Wagtail community are. 53 minutes ago, I asked a question, how to add this admin menu to a custom template, and then I got an answer within like 15 minutes, pretty much on the dot. So I thought that was really, this is not the first time that something like that's happened where I've either opened a GitHub issue or a Stack Overflow issue and gotten somebody really helpful right away. Okay, so let's go ahead and follow their advice to put this in the base HTML, the Wagtail user bar, and the load Wagtail user bar template helper. So that's located down here. And again, I'm not really keeping this pull request too focused. Load static Wagtail user bar. Could try a different location just to see if it works. So now we should see a Wagtail user bar here when I refresh. Let me see here. Bookstore had it. Cart didn't have it. And let me read the docs. Load static, that's a little bit different than load Wagtail user bar. And by default it appears in the bottom right, so I can probably take that. Well, let's see if it appears in the top left now. I don't really want it to appear in the top left though. Boing. Sometimes I have to restart. It's not appearing. See, there it is. That's because this is a page. Ooh, now it's actually not really working. So it seems to collide. Now I refresh the page. I don't know, it's a little bit buggy. I don't know what the difference is between the load static user bar and the load Wagtail user bar. Okay. Oh, I see, they're just combining the two. Ah, so that could have been my collision. Still not working though. That works. Alright, I'll just respond. It was hopeful. Should be possible. But I couldn't get it to work. Alright, so next issue. Not going to get stuck on that. The main one was to get these address fields, instructions on the cart to get back. Let's try this non-negative value here. So currently the cart form allows negative values, which is interesting actually. What if I add, sorry, now I have 6 books in my cart. If I go, well, let's see, -3, it works as expected. But Mary didn't like that, understandably. So let's hop over here. Let me reset my base. All right. Yeah, see, this was already there. I had just put it in the bottom. This template was automatically generated by Wagtail. The problem is it still doesn't render it. Thanks, that was really nice. I'm so grateful for how quickly I got a response. Because at least I just want to jump to the Wagtail admin dashboard. I don't need the other menu links. So, let me make sure we're on the right trail here. Order create form. No, we need the cart form. Yeah, so if we hop over here to cart, and I believe it's cart add product form. Here it is, quantity, integer field, form integer field, Oracle. All right. All right, greater than some number. Ah, look at that. Is this part of the forms? No. Well, yeah, what if I do just min value? Does that work? It seems to work, but it's not giving any validation to the end user, so. That's a challenge. So I believe that's what this raises a validation error. So let's take a cleaner look at this. Validation equals. I guess just the limit value would be 1. Now, where to import this from? Django validators and bookstore. So adding 1 works. So I got 5. Adding 0 works. Yeah, it's just not raising the validation error. Let's see. It's not a model form. But this init approach might work. We're just calling this super to make sure things are running as normal, and then we're going to add our own attribute to the quantity field. Seems a little bit roundabout, okay. Hopefully it's consistent. Many values is 1. Across the model form and forms form. Should just be an attribute. Let's just read the docs for the integer field. I'm not really encountered this, but you should be able to just set, I believe, properties right there. Min value, and I don't see why this wouldn't also be added to the HTML widget. They're supposed to control the range of values, so this won't work. Allowed in the field. Well, this is a partial solution. At least it's working as expected here. But the widget is letting me enter negative values. It's not applying the logic, but it's not throwing validation errors. That's the problematic part. set an attribute. Call it a day. This should work. I don't see why this wouldn't work. This is a dictionary, I think, right? I believe this is the correct answer. I see. I got it. So that's the field. Then I need to select the widget. Okay. Just got to read a little bit more carefully. I don't want text input though, right? It's still not working. This is really simple. Silly that this should be so complicated. Yeah, this is strange that I can't just set the attribute from minimum value. Yeah, the validation is working. I need the HTML widget also to enforce that. Yeah. Floppy forms. Well, that's essentially what I'm doing. So I'm setting the widget to be a number input. The attributes for minimum at least. But it's just not being passed to the form. Darn it, I'm not using this validator anymore. And this is some other form package for Django. I think this should be part of the core though. Let's see, just how do I set the default max and min for an integer field? Right, but this is for a model. I need it for a form. Alternatively, I guess I can try to edit the form markup myself, but I'm not really doing that to begin with. Let's see. Try something. I don't remember if that was what they said, but because this is actually the form instance right there. So yeah, if I can find, what was the question? Okay, actually just, what if I know the minimum value is 1, so I don't even actually need to get that attribute. Quantity. Okay, this is certainly more straightforward. Yeah, there we go. Oh yeah, a lot easier. Strangely, I couldn't get that to, well, I now understand why, because I'm defining the input myself. So the changing the Django form code wasn't going to have an effect there. All right, no worries. I'll leave the validator in place. I'll take the widget off because I had basically written the widget by hand. Cool. All right. And then the other place is this one. So now we need it on the product shop store. Templates. Well, I actually like this solution a lot better. Just writing the HTML directly. So this is cool by me. All right. Good stuff. So what did we change here? Let me just double check that this won't, when I go to the cart, that I can still delete. Yeah, we're good to go. Cool, good stuff. All right, so now when we merge this pull request, 123, one moment. Cool. So, pull request closes 123. Okay, issues. Yeah, let's just add a little button right next to the checkout. Or maybe to the left line, something back to the bookstore. Back to bookstore. Even though it's right there. Alright, so for that, we will go to the cart. Hey, what's up, Tooluters? Welcome. Tooluter says, what's up, first time here, building e-commerce site? Yeah, it's pretty much one of the components of the site is basic e-commerce. We got a bookstore. This was built with Drupal, and we have this bookstore here. So we're trying to replicate that process with with checkout and payments and things like that. There's a whole bunch of other aspects of this site. It's an online publication, magazine issues and articles, going back to 1929. And all the things older than these 3 issues. So 6 months. Everything older than 6 months is just anybody can read. It's in the archive. It's public. We've got a multimedia library with just like videos and stuff like that, PDFs, a community page, and so we've been bit by bit working through this, rewriting this whole site with Django. Tanner, okay, Tanner's here. Is your name Tanner or? All right, so yeah, we do have this e-commerce aspect, and in previous live coding sessions, I've gone through and created the magazine and multimedia library and community sections. So we're just focusing in on this part right now. So let's see if we can get a little button there, but not align it right. So I think actually I can drop the p tags. first name was easier than tutors. Thanks for the demo. Yeah. Are you working on anything, Tanner? Any projects? Have you worked with Python or Django? Or Drupal, WordPress, anything like that? Back to bookstore. Okay, cool. Another. I might just do a button group here, Bootstrap button group. So is like Tanner the way to pronounce? What's the origin of the of your username? Tluders, I guess is kind of how I would say it. All right, so we got a button group. Dun, dun, dun. We're in Bootstrap before. And on the right, we've got this checkout button. And it should be the same color as I've got it so far. And then on the left, we'll say back to bookstore. And that'll be, well, secondary sounds good. It's not the main action here. So this needs to be indented. Oh, okay. T-Looters. First name, first initial, last name. T-Looters. Never worked with Django, but worked with Python a bit. I'm refactoring some code for a company I work for right now, working in PHP. That's pretty cool. Are you working with any PHP framework? Like Laravel or Symfony or anything like that? Okay, so that looks okay, but it's not leaning to the right anymore. Huh. Maybe because of this card navigation. Because I need to say text right inside of the button group class. Let's try that. In which case I don't need the P anymore, huh? All this can come out one level. Laravel, cool. I've heard really great things about Laravel. Okay, button group's not gonna do it for me. Why is it not? There's gotta be a way to align these right. You know what I mean? Should be pretty straightforward. Yeah. No. Text right. Yeah, this is basically what I had before. Div class buttons, button group. No, it's control. Delete. It's weird why something like this wouldn't be working now. Button group, button. What's your impression of Laravel? It seems really well organized. I think they emphasize maybe consistency and kind of code quality. Oh, there it goes. Now it's working. So just the paragraph wouldn't cut it. Back to bookstore. So this should be an anchor tag now. And close your eyes. I'm going to hard code a link. Oh man. Because the problem is this is it's not a view, it's like a page. Wagtail page, and I don't know how to get a reference to it. So for now, I'm just going to take the lazy route. Ooh, wait a minute. Is that supposed to look like that? Button. Button default. Add to cart. Yes, so I suppose it's supposed to look like that. Nice. All right then. Push the change. Let's remember my GitHub name. Close this one, 2, 4. 1, 2, 4. Yeah, we were also kind of thinking about whether we should keep this website as Drupal and start maintaining it, getting deeper into the PHP code, migrating over to Drupal 8, which is based on Symfony now. But just Django, Python ecosystem just seemed like a good way to go, particularly as I'm doing a lot of Python at my day job. And Django, well, Drupal and Django have been around for a while. I'm not sure how healthy the PHP ecosystem is. Maybe it's pretty good. I just don't really know. Yeah, Laravel. Yeah, didn't it take a lot of inspiration from Ruby on Rails? I think maybe that's why we got so many colors. They got a really nice website, that's for sure. Oh, so are you using Vue.js? Isn't that part of the... Ooh, they got a lot of good stuff, it looks like. Wow. Dang, real time even. Looks like a place to be. Full, like, coverage. Man, have been working in the JavaScript community in general for the last few years, and invested pretty heavily in the Meteor.js framework. But it just never materialized something on like this scale. Yeah, it's certain things like bundling, build, just doing that for you. Yeah, but nothing like scaffolding apps. Micro framework, bigger. Meteor has like real time built in. That was cool. Admin panel, nice. Ooh, really pretty. So are these? Some of these are proprietary or commercial? Yeah, it looks like it. Okay, I gotcha. For web artisans, very nice. Tanner says, no, our tech stack is kind of Frankenstein. We actually have a WordPress base and built on top of that. Utilize React in certain places. Cool. Yeah, WordPress has got a lot going on it for it also. Are you using any of the, are you defining custom content models with WordPress? So that one didn't work. I could try this one, order inspection. So for what it's worth, when somebody places an order and they fill in their fields, creates an order. I go to the Wagtail admin. By the way, since you haven't seen that, this Wagtail admin comes out of the box. So looks like my bandwidth is kind of suffering right now. So sorry if I'm breaking up a little bit. But it's heavily inspired by WordPress. So I want to be able to customize certain aspects of it. Usually we do that just by changing classes, and not a lot of code is necessary here. In particular, I'd like to customize this inspection view when you're just checking out an order. You're not wanting to edit it. The edit form is here. But if I just want to peek, this is the documentation for that. With Wagtail, Django has an admin panel out of the box, but Wagtail is the one that brings it to much more mature form. This Wagtail CMS is what we're building on. And this is why, one of the main reasons why we went with Wagtail is because of the admin panel. And the content management is very similar to WordPress also. Similar to the WordPress Gutenberg sort of stream editing, block-based editing. So yeah, this is stock Wagtail with some customizations to the menu for our particular website. But yeah, these fly-out drawers and all that stuff, it's built in React. And yeah, you just, essentially, I'll show you real quick. Essentially, so for example, if we go to the store and I look at this Wagtail hooks, they call them model admins. You tell it a model, like a Django is a model database object relational mapper built in, and you define your models using that, and then you know what your icon would look like. So with the store, we have a fun, awesome books icon. What the menu label should be, what order it should appear. And when you list the items, it'll show some fields. So this is all just done with a few lines of code, the customization. So I'm hoping that customizing the inspect view is just going to be a few lines of code. But it looks like I'll have to actually do some HTML. So that might not be too bad. Just let me open this in a new tab. So basically how we do this. We have our model admin. In this case, I want to go to the order model admin right here. You can see a little bit more of the configuration there. I've got more fields. The widgets are created automatically. You get free stuff. Let me just, for example, say, okay, this one was paid. We'll save that. Oh, two errors. Oh yeah, this is now required. So now you can see the widget changed. I didn't have to define any particular widget. We just define a class that inherits from the model admin class. Tell it what model we're rendering here, and some metadata about what the menu should look like, what order, whether it should appear in the settings menu, whether it should appear in this page explorer, which lists all the content of the site in this interactive kind of drill down, how to display the list, what fields to search for. So someone, or let's say else, then it finds that. Whether or not you can inspect the items, just take a peek at fields that aren't necessarily in the table, and what fields should appear in the inspect view, including traversing foreign key fields, because this items is actually another table. So it actually reaches into that table and fetches, in this case, just one item, one related item, 3 of it. So very cool stuff. I really like the developer experience. And this filter field is list filter. So and it creates that widget for you automatically. And adding another is right there. So yeah, this whole dashboard pretty much is just Wagtail defaults with a little bit of more or less declarative code. All right, so let's see. In order to customize something, I'm going to use let's see how this works. So I guess you just literally add this, inspect view fields, whoops. And this will be store. Inspect order. So I think now if I refresh and I hit the inspect view, alright, we're going to get an error here that this template doesn't exist. So let's go ahead and say new file. Okay, and then I'll just put a paragraph there. Let's see if this needs anything. Refresh, and that worked. Inspect. So yes, although it's just rendering this raw template, we want it to stay in the context of the Wagtail admin. So let's look at customizing templates. I should be able to extend the Wagtail template, but I don't see which one to extend. Alright, so there we are. So that'll work. Although, when I look back at this, if I comment this out, let's see how the flow works. So yeah, it's a lot cleaner. Not sure what to extend here. I just want to change this. I don't want to have to do this whole template. Yeah, it's designed to be pretty generic. So I believe my fields will be passed in from here. I could probably just extend this template if I knew the name of it. Model admin inspect. In which case I might not need block content. There we go. PS. All right. Yes. All right, very good. That's good. All right, so now I just know them. That's not there. So what's the data context? I think this dot notation should work. No, it's not. There we go. Just gotta think here for a second how to get to a specific field in here, inside of here that I know is going to exist as items field. Well, okay, I see what the problem is. All right, so then I can iterate over the items, I suppose. Tanner, if you're still there, what kind of IDE do you use to write Python? I mean PHP. I try tried a few out when I was doing JavaScript pretty heavily, and a couple of Python IDEs as well. So let's see if this will give me find field value. Ooh. Because it's a string. I think I sort of get it. It's using the stringified view of all the related. This one might be beyond my capabilities right now. I did learn though how to override the inspect view. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. But I'm really not any different or any better off right now with, I just comment this out, refresh the page, it's the exact same. This has been moved into a list item. So for example, if I had another product, another book product, puts them back to back like that. So I gotta think. So essentially what this template is doing, just getting the string, invoking the string method or the dunder str of something. This items field. Items field. I don't have my model open. Here it is. Ah, come on. Order. Hey, what's up, Reykjavik? How you doing? Welcome to the stream chat. Do you do any coding projects yourself? You see, you went to TwitchCon 18. Cool. So this is cart models. There we go. No, what the heck, dude? Orders. Okay. where you live and what's the weather like where you are. The sun's going down here in Helsinki. I mean in Tampere, Finland. Whew, it's been a long day. I'm kind of tired. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I was doing those kind of live stream sessions on DevTube. Let's see, on the code base on GitHub. Yeah, do you publish under Reykjavik on DevTube? Let's take a look. A lot of those things. Nice. Yeah, this is a really good site. I haven't been as active on here though as I should be. Oh, okay, yeah. I remember you now that we were talking about sort of code, what it's called, boot camps. Is that correct? No, I got, yeah, Jacob Baker. Hey, welcome back. Good to see you. Yep, FS boot camp. Did you end up going to a boot camp? I gotta figure out how this works. So I've got an order, and it has one or more order items. You're 3 weeks in. Okay, very cool. What boot camp did you end up settling on? What's the experience like? Oh. So it's got the string method there, and it's basically invoking the string method for each one. Maybe if I do this. No, I thought it. Somehow this items is getting parsed to a string. It's not coming through as a list. It's the problem when I try to iterate over it. I'm sort of slicing a string. So there's items. Rick said they picked Dev Mountain in Dallas. So far the experience has been really good. A lot of information at first, but prior experience has helped quite a bit. Okay, very cool. So you're not feeling like you're just thrown into the ocean. First project of this week, so nervous about that. What kind of project are you building? Do you get to pick your own project? Seems like if I have this field items here, the admin's already done something mysterious with it. Mary said this one wasn't too bad. So it's like a 3/4 stack project. We get to pick it, but we have to use React, Express, and Node. No database for this project. All right. Well, that's good. They're giving you some constraints to choose from to limit the scope so you don't get the analysis paralysis. So what basically are you interested in building? What have you picked to build for the project without a database? Can you use SQLite? Nothing, just How do you mock your data? Like just big JSON file or something? Quite interesting. Normally in Django templates, you can iterate over something like related entities. Just JSON, yep. One big object dictionary in Python, yep. All right, cool. So you're just making some data up and sort of rendering it. So what is Wagtail doing here? Wagtail's doing some magic for me here in this. I just want these to display as a list. I'm at a loss as to how to do it. I can't just simply, yeah, man, this is weird. Can use mock data or create the data and add it to the object. Yeah, cool. Can you do APIs? Can you make any API calls? That would be kind of cheating with no database constraint. Well, this is cool. I can update the buttons. Let's see. So Reykjavik said, yeah, we can make API calls, I think. But I think they want us to make our own API in practice with CRUD operations, create, read, update, delete. Practice CRUD on both ends. All right, very cool. So like basically, that's the tech stack. What kind of idea, what kind of project is it? Are you mocking up a like a personal to-do list type thing, or what's your idea? That's where it's doing it more or less. I wonder if I define my own view here, inheriting from inspect view. Override the get context. Call super get context, right? Because I know how I want to display the products. All right, let's try it out. See if this works. Okay, let's see. So Reykjavik said, my idea was a restaurant menu items list that could be updated, but the mentors told me to hold off on that idea because it could be turned into more for a later project. So just thinking of ideas now. All right, cool. Yeah, menu item. That sounds pretty cool. I've been actually thinking of a sort of a make your own pizza app where you can just pick your toppings and whatnot, but the store owner can set prices for various toppings and things like that. What else is a good idea? Well, yeah. What about like, do you watch movies or play games or anything, or have like a lot of books or anything? So let's see. I'm going to try something. I'm way out on a limb here. Bear with me. From Wagtail Country Modeling Admin Views Import Inspect View. I don't even know if this is going to work, but I'm going to try. I'll leave that up. Leave this up. Close this. Yeah, like movies and games, but I think a lot of people are going to be doing that. Yeah, well, I guess the main thing is just that you want to do something, but particularly you want to do something that's interesting to you, because yeah, of course, a lot of people are doing similar things. Yeah, something that might be potentially useful to you. Okay, so I need so I'm in the store, right? Store. I'm working on these model admins, so I'll create a views.py. Normally with Wagtail, you don't even have to touch these views. What do we got there? Okay, so from Wagtail, contrib, model admin, views, import. Okay, so we will call this So now by default it's going to get everything from the inspect view, and I will just define the get context data. Quargs. So context equals super double. Where are we at? Where are we at? Huh. That's strange. So let me think for just a second. let's see. Reykjavik says, I like building computers. I can do a computer parts list. Man, I miss the simplicity of Python syntax. Yeah, it is really, I'm glad to be able to use it. Yeah, computer parts list sounds pretty cool. Do you build your own like gaming computer or context? Well, let's just add something here. But I can just do what they're doing actually. Right. Because that passes in that, so then I need that. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. The thing is, if this works, then I can get my own little sort of query set of the related items. I hope this will work. To the order. I'll need the order ID. Once I get the items, the order ID, I can run a query on the items, put them into context. Because I believe only the data passing from these fields can be available. The inspect view. I might be incorrect there, might be wrong, but alright. So test. So we should see something cool. Let's see, Reykjavik says, yeah, I built the past 2 that I have, but not currently using it because I don't want distractions while I'm at the boot camp. That's a good point. Did you take a laptop to the boot camp, or did they provide you with your own, or with a computer? So what's going on here? Oh, man. Well, this is weird. I'm thinking that something is cached here. If I restart the deal, go back here, inspect another item. More or less whatever I put in here. Should just appear over here. Oh, you know why? Because that's commented out. Alright, good. Yes. Alright, so now I should have some text tests when with the value of test. That was added to context, please. Ah. Let me just take a look. I'm not wiring this up. Okay, cool. Just take a little step, one step at a time. Yeah, I took a laptop. Okay, cool. By the way, what kind of software are you using to edit your code? Do you have an IDE that you like to use? All right, now next baby step I need to do is import this. Yeah, I'm just not wiring things up correctly. Getting a little bit ahead of myself. A little bit tired. But that would be super cool if this will work. Where are we at? So it's in here. Writing views. You basically it's those 4 attributes. There we go. Inspect view class. So I define this property back here. So we got the inspect view template name, inspect view class. It's got a typo from views. Order inspect view. That's cool. Now I just tell it. Let's order inspect view. Okay, now things are wired up. And my class overrides the context and should pass that in there. Yep. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. So let's see. I need the ID field in order to make a query. Right there. And I don't want to show it, but I guess it doesn't hurt to show it. Order ID. Order ID. So let's see. Items. So order items. So let's grab our model here. Let's see, I've used VS Code in the past, and that's what the bootcamp recommends too, so still using VS Code. Yep, I've been pretty satisfied with VS Code. I've tried Atom IDE for a long time, for several years, and then switched over to PyCharm when I transitioned over to trying to do more, Python-oriented development. And that was good, but then fortuitously, my PyCharm license, it stopped working across my laptops, my work laptop and my personal laptop, and I was like, well, what else can I try? And I gave VS Code a second shot with the Python plugin, and it's been really solid, very good. All right, so let's hop back over here to the model and import. Not the right model file. Order item. Let's see. Actually, this is not fresh in my memory. PK, yeah. PyCharm was good for me when I was taking a Python class last year, but yeah, VS Code is good all around, especially with the quality of the plugins. Yeah, I agree there. So let's just say 5 real quick. I'm gonna hard code this primary key. see, I'm getting tired. So this should be a stringified view of that order item. And let's just see if this doesn't look like crap. From store models. Okay, store models. So yeah, I've got to check my view. Is in store views.py. This is in the wrong folder. I think the reason I'm having to hop back and forth between the stores is because that's where our navigation menu used to find. That's why I'm getting confused. All right, getting closer, getting closer. I just deleted that file, so let's transfer. Get my imports. There we go. Okay. That was a little bit opaque. I guess not so bad, but let me just gather myself real quick. I'm gonna get a tea, and then it'll take me just a couple minutes, and I'll explain what I just did and make this look a little bit better. But I would like just a little bit of chamomile tea. So thanks for stopping in, and please bear with me for one moment. thanks for everybody who stuck with me. So let's recap what's going on here, because there's a lot of moving parts. It's working. You'll notice a little bit of duplication here. I'll clean that template up in just a second. Let's take a look at that order. I believe it was 2 items. Oh, no, it's not working. Ah, dang. Oh, yeah, of course it is. If I change this to 8. Okay, so I'll have to clean up my hard coding, but no problem here. If I refresh the page, yeah, aha, so cool. Now you can see I'm actually overriding the context of this little template we created. So basically, I wanted to override this inspection template, but not have to write a bunch of code. So I'm using the main inspect template from Wagtail, and just overriding one section of it. And if I take this code out, or just say not equals items, and do this, we'll only have one instance of the items field. Just double check real quick. Then, so I'm just thinking about, this needs to go here. Actually, this needs to come inside of there, so we don't display the item's label. Or actually, I can do it like this. Equals items. Put this inside of that. That's the cleaner way of doing it. So in the case where we get to the items field, we're going to actually refer to this order items and iterate over those. And so I don't need this field value here, because that was the original problem. It's concatenating those to a string. When I looked at the Wagtail core, get field display value, when we have an instance of a model manager, this is the key thing, query set, excuse me, it joins everything, comma, delimited list. And that's not what I wanted for this case, because it makes it a little hard to scan vertically the number of item, quantity and of each item, number of items in the order, and the quantity of each item. So I want to make this a little easier to read. So it boils down to, I need to create a query set of the related items. So we had to hop over here. So let me just really quick make my markup look a little bit better. So look at the template again. Rendered template, it'll be a little bit nicer. Refresh that. There we go. So now you can see we're iterating over these items, creating a list item for each. Cool beans. That works. So what we had to do is create 2 things. Wagtail is very customizable. Most things are fairly well documented. In the cases where the documentation hasn't been sufficient, Stack Overflow, I've gotten really quick and great support on Stack Overflow, and even GitHub, although that's not their preferred support channel. But when that has, so to speak, failed, I actually didn't try in this case, the source code has been really easy to navigate. So all of those factors combined make Wagtail a really enjoyable framework to work with. I haven't had any major blockages. Even in my kind of deteriorating state as it gets later in the evening, I'm able to function. Okay, cool. So let's take a look at how to customize this model admin. Basically what a model admin is, takes a model and gives you an administrative interface for it in the Wagtail sort of admin UI. This is done for us for free in Wagtail. It's really powerful. And so I've created these model admins for our store, and particularly for orders. And I was showing this a little bit earlier in the stream, but I'll show it again. You tell it what the model is, which is a class that represents a database table. Then you tell it some other metadata like what the label should be in the menu and what the menu icon should look like and what order it should appear in the menu, whether or not it should be part of the settings menu, if it should be part of this Explorer, which is another default built-in Wagtail thing, what fields should be shown on this list display, email, full name, paid, and in what order. Paid being a Boolean field, it automatically creates the widget there. Full name is actually a function or model method that's concatenating two fields, so it's pretty flexible. Search fields, you can see that you can't search a function or the output of a function, it won't invoke the function, but you can search the fields that were concatenated inside this function to create the full name. So I could search for item or two and get a result 2 items, or I could search for nothing and get that back, someone out there, and just get that order. So this is all coming for free from Wagtail. List filter, I can filter on the paid field by whether or not it's paid, and it generates this little widget here. Now here comes the bulk of our work, just recapping, and I believe I've lost my entire audience, but that's cool. The inspect view means I can hit this button and see the order. The fields that should be passed into this context here, or normally rendered by default, but I wanted to change the way this field was rendered. So I had to generate a template, I had to create a template and in this case a view so that I could override the context, and that's where we are now. The template is just basic HTML. I cribbed it from the Wagtail source, and the view overrides one method so I can get the context. Now we need to find the proper primary key here. So I believe let me think here for a second. I believe I should do this in a different way. I will need to access basically a field within there. Context. And add an item. Context is a dictionary. Equals the result of this query, which will still be hard-coded here, but I just want to take a peek at the context real quick. Ooh, what did I do? Type object as super attribute. Here we go. So views, model admin, fields, instance. There we go. Aha. So I think this should be a dictionary. Is that a property? Here we go. So this should just have the ID either as a property. There it is. All right. No worries. So yeah, I don't need that actually. Since it's actually the instance, that's cool. That's handy. So now if I go back to orders, and instead of looking at number 8, I'll look at number 7. Good. Oh man, that worked. All right, so basically what we did is grab the context from the parent class and just give us a meaningful variable here, because this is an instance of a particular model that we're sort of passing into this view, and get the related items. Makes me wonder, actually, if I could just have done this that whole time. This is a model manager. That actually worked. Well, I'll take it. Good, I'm learning. I'd rather not have to have the clunky view around just to do this when I just didn't look closely enough at the context for the model manager template. So that said, less is more, though I'm glad to learn from my failures and successes. So now we go back, and 2-item view works. All right, very cool. So it wasn't quite as efficient as it could have been. Took me a while, but I accomplished some of the major changes I set out for today. I did a little bit more than I expected. Overall, I'm still pretty impressed by how things in Wagtail are organized, and Django, Wagtail extending from many of the Django sort of design principles. Up a little bit. Oh yeah, that's another confusing part, is the fact that they ordered 2 books and the items label. Very cool, very cool. All right, I'm gonna commit these changes and wrap it up. So let's see here what we got. Actually, can reset the changes here. I didn't use those at all. I don't need that ID field in there anymore. although it might be useful. I'll leave it. So yeah, all of our code is open source on GitHub. If you're interested in contributing to the project or cribbing some of the code for your own projects, this is where to get it. And you can look back at the changes we made in previous sessions, or if you miss a couple of these live streams, then you'll be able to check the changes over time, as commits or as a history of activity. So I'm going to close these all out. So this has been a pretty fruitful and not too stressful edition of creating a website from scratch with Django. .com. Wagtail. With Python, Django, and the Wagtail CMS. I just want to give attribution to these projects. It's python.org. These frameworks really do make it a joy to program, and I've felt pretty productive and inspired, and not that much frustration in my experience with the Python language, the Django web framework, and the Wagtail content management system. There are examples in other programming languages where you can probably be as productive and have as much fun. Laravel was mentioned during this session. There may be something brewing in the JavaScript ecosystem. I've not caught wind of something as sort of mature and batteries included, full-fledged framework as these projects offer, and things in the Python and PHP ecosystem, perhaps in general, maybe Java as well. So thanks to everyone who joined on Twitch and for participating in the chat. If you're watching this on YouTube, please do leave questions or comments below the video. I will try to respond to those pretty promptly. Thanks again for watching.